I know that you spent a little bit of time in the minors, and then you were called up to the Philadelphia Flyers. I believe your first win and game was versus Detroit, but I was also reading that when you first came up to the NHL, that you were having a tough time sleeping, and you used various methods, including cold showers, to help you get to sleep or stay asleep.
Yeah, so my first 2 weeks in the league there, I got called up right before Christmas, and I didn't sleep for probably 2 weeks. Especially the first night, I don't think I slept at all. But I just had to find some different ways to get sleep, because that's one of the most important things, especially in our game when you're playing almost every second night. It's really important that you get your rest and you recover. So I was doing body scans, like meditation, self-meditation for 10 minutes to help relax me. Cold shower before bed. I don't do the cold shower anymore, but I do the cold shower in the morning when we have those 1 o'clock games, because we have actually, I think, the most 1 o'clock games out of most teams, especially last year we did. This year, not so much, but you wake up and you pretty much have to just go to the rink. So I take a cold shower in the morning to wake myself up and get ready.
You've kind of are new to the NHL. As fans get to know you, you've obviously had success winning a silver and gold in the World Juniors, but I think you're one of the new style young goalies who really spends a lot of time and attention on the mental side of the game, the psychological side of the game. I know you juggle, and just can you describe how important that stuff is to you and how it relates to now the success you're finding on the ice?
I mean, I think it's a huge part of the game where you have to play the game at a high level. You just have to go out and play and execute. And when you're overthinking things and second guessing yourself, that's when mistakes happen, or that's when goals start to go in. I know there was a quote I saw from Sidney Crosby a couple months ago. He said, the reason we practice so hard is so that when it's game time, everything's just automatic. And I mean, that's so true, because you work on all your details in practice. That's when you're thinking, or you're overthinking a little bit in practice, because you're working on the details of your game. But when it's time to play, it's time to just go out and play. Like, you've done all the work, you've prepared. And I think too, in your preparation, your pregame prep, your practices, if you know that you're doing everything you can to stay prepared, when you go out and play, you know that you're prepared and you're ready to go.
You mentioned Sidney Crosby. You're in a division with some star players, Alexander Ovechkin. It truly, a few years ago, whether it was in Everett, where you're playing junior hockey, or when you were back from Everett, watching from your home in Sherwood Park with your parents, you're watching Sidney Crosby, winning the Stanley Cup. More recently, of course, Alexander Ovechkin won the Stanley Cup. What were those first kind of moments where you're on the ice against a guy like Crosby, against a guy like Ovechkin? In Edmonton, he's not much older than you, but Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, those sort of first moments where you're going up against guys that not that long ago you were watching.
Yeah, I mean, first time I played against Wash, I saw Ovi there skating the red line. I'm stretching right beside him, and you don't realize how big of a human being he is until you're up close. And I mean, he's in the paint, and I'm trying to push him out, and he's pretty heavy body. So, but you realize just how strong he is, and I mean, he's got probably the most lethal shot in the NHL. And then Crosby as well. He's one of the smartest players in the league, and skilled. And but I mean, to go up against those guys, or the first few times I played against those guys, it was pretty. I don't know. It was a little bit overwhelming, but then I realized that I'm in the same league as these guys too. So we're all here just to compete and play against each other. And the one that really threw me off was my first time playing against Price, because he was my favorite goalie growing up. And we're in Montreal. I actually ended up getting hurt at the end of the game, or in the first period, but I got pulled. First period, 3 goals. I don't know how many shots, but that was my first time against Price. I think I was overthinking, thinking about him too much. I remember just looking down on the other end and seeing him in the other net, and I thought this was crazy. And the next time we played him, I think we lost 2-1, but I was stretching beside him and he just tapped me on the pads and said good luck, and I was just like, he's just like you and me, like he's just another human being, and like I said, we're just here to compete against each other and play the game.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff when you get those opportunities. What kind of advice would you have, either for young, minor hockey players, because you're so relative to them? I mean, you're not much older than kids who could still be playing, for example, midget hockey, or certainly kids playing junior, and maybe in particular for goalies, things that they might want to do, one or two or maybe three things to concentrate on, so that they can be the best that they can be for whatever team they're playing on in whatever league.
I think skating is a huge part of the game that's maybe overlooked, but I know when you say skating as a goaltender, I mean, like, just increased movements, your edges. I think that's a huge part of the game. And I mean, you look in the NHL, every guy can skate, everybody's good on their feet, everybody's good on their knees, but if you can't move at an elite level, I don't think you can play. That's just straight up how it is, especially with how the game is now and how fast it's played. So that's something that at actually a very young age, I started doing with my goalie coach, my first goalie coach, John Stevenson. We had the power skating sessions Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. at Millennium Place there in Sherwood Park. And that was kind of something that I took out of that, was making sure that my skating was always a priority, and you always have time, no matter. Sometimes you get those coaches in minor hockey that they don't fit in time for their goalies or anything like that, but sometimes you get those drills where you have a bit of a break, and even if it's just for 30 seconds, you can find time to work on your skating.